We are going to cover lesson 72 this morning, and there are, a couple parts to it. So, lesson 72 is working with geometry and solving triangles. So, 72.A is called one side plus two other parts. Sometimes these book titles are so silly. But it's let's go over what we know. Triangles have 6 parts. And so this is saying if the length of one side and the measure of any two other parts are known, then you can find all the other missing sides and angles. Now, right triangles are the easiest to solve for. So right triangles are easy. And we're only going to do one because it's all review from geometry. So number 1, if I have the following triangle, and if it's a right triangle, then I know at least one angle, and let's say they give me this angle here, and the bottom side of 4, and they'd like me to solve for x, y, and z. So notice they've given me a side, and I have 2 angles, so I can find the other 3 parts, and it's going to be really easy for this triangle. So I'm going to start with z. Right? Z, I know all 3 angles add up to be 180. So 180 minus 50 minus 90 leaves me with 40 degrees. And so I know that angle Z is 40 degrees. Easy peasy. I'm going to rewrite my Z because it's a little sloppy. All right, so I have Z. Now to solve for Y, I can use my trig functions, right? So I have opposite. And this would be adjacent. So I could use the tangent of 50 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. So y times the tangent of 50 equals 4. So I would have to divide, right, by the tangent of 50 degrees. So y equals, I got 3.3. And let me confirm using my calculator, but it would be 4 divided by the tangent of 50. And so 3.356, I should probably technically round that to, I'm going to round this to 3.36. So y equals 3.36. And then from there, to find x, I can use Pythagorean theorem. So 3.36 squared plus 4 squared equals x squared, right? And then we would take the square root. And so 3.36 squared plus 4 squared, and then square root of my answer. And I got x equals 5.2. So pretty easy stuff if it's a right triangle, right? All of that's review from geometry. So let's talk about how to solve for if it's not a right triangle, okay? So in 72, point B, that's exactly what it addresses for triangles that are not a right triangle. So I'm going to introduce you, it's actually review, it is in Algebra 2, to the law of sines. So the law of sines is used for oblique triangles, or non-right triangles. So you would use this if you aren't given a right triangle. So let's review that the law of sines. So let's say I have this triangle here. This is A, B, C. The angles are capital. The sides corresponding should be opposite and lowercase. So across from angle A would be side A, across from angle B would be side B, and across from angle C would be side C. Now you only need 2 of these ratios, but side A divided by the sine of angle A should be proportional to B divided by the sine of angle B, which should also be proportional to the side C divided by the sine of angle C. So just for a note, notice the capital letters are angles and lowercase are the sides. Okay, so let's jump in. That's review to do an example. So solve this triangle. So this is 7, this side is 10, this side is x, this is A, B, and 23 degrees. All right, so let's start with what we have, right? So always start with the pair that I have. I have 7 and 23. So 7 divided by the sine of 23 degrees would be equal to these. So it should be proportional to 10 divided by the sine of angle A. So I'm going to cross multiply. 10 times the sine of 23 degrees is equal to 7 times the sine of A. So we would divide, right, by 7. So I'm going to enter everything on the left. So 10 times the sine of 23 divided by 7, I get 0.56 equals the sine of A. So you would do the sine inverse of 0.56, and that would give you angle A. So the sine inverse of 0.56, and I should probably keep this as accurate as possible, but whatever. I did 34.1 degrees. So A is 34.1 degrees. So to solve for B, that's easy, right? 180 minus 23 minus 34.1. And that gives me, 180 minus 23 minus 34.1. That gives me 122.9. So B is 122.9. So all I have left is x. So I'm going to set it up again. I have the 7 over the sine of 23 degrees equals, and then I'm going to finally use this because I now know what B is. B is, so I have x over the sine of 122.9 degrees. And again, remember, we're always cross multiplying when we have these ratios. So 7 times the sine of 122.9 equals x times the sine of 23 degrees. And then you will divide to get x by itself. And so x equals, so 7 times the sine of 122.9 divided by the sine of 23, and I get 15.04. And so I found the two missing angles and the missing side. All right, so moving on. We'll do one more. Solve this triangle. All right, so let me see if I can write this correctly. This is 50 degrees. This is 30 degrees. We're going to solve for A, M, K, and this is 8. All right, so let's start with, again, this is review. So I'm going to start with the pair that I know. So I could either I'm going to start with this pair and this pair. They're always across from each other. So 8 divided by the sine of 50 degrees should be proportional to K divided by the sine of 30 degrees. So if you can cross multiply in your head, so 8 times the sine of 30 degrees, and I'm going to have to divide by the sine of 50 degrees to equal K. So I'm going to enter that. 8 times the sine of 30 divided by the sine of 50, and I get K is 5.22. Okay, now A is easy, right? 180 minus 30 minus 50 gives me 100, whoops, not 180, my bad. Gives me 100 degrees. So I know that angle A is 100 degrees. So now I'm going to find this pair, right? I know that m over the sine of 100 degrees, and then I can pick, I'm just going to pick the pair I started with, 8 over the sine of 50. So 8 times the sine of 100, sorry, I'll leave a space. 8 times the sine of 100 divided by the sine of 50 will give me m. And so 8 times the sine of 100 divided by the sine of 50, and I get, sorry, I'm going to change, sorry, mine's off. 8 times the sine of 100 divided by the sine of 50. And I got m is 10.28. Whoops. And that is it. So I could do one more, but they're pretty much all the same. So for homework 72, skip numbers 1 through 3, 5, 11, 15, and 29 and 30.